I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor? All right, we're in closed session.
This conference will now be recorded.
Closed session, which now need to entertain a motion to officially leave the closed session and enter the regular session.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, welcome everybody. Good to see everybody here this evening. And we'll start our meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, and if you would, please remain standing. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Caldwell, would you mind giving us invocation, please?
Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening, dear Lord. We thank you for giving everybody here safe. Pray, Father, that everything done here tonight will be in accordance with your will and beneficial and positive for all involved. We pray that everyone here safe, bring us home safe and sound. In Jesus' holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And if you will, we'll just have a moment of silence for your neighbor that passed away. One was Richard Vaughn. All right, thank you so much. Please be seated. This time, if you would, check your cell phones. Make sure you got them on the buzzer. Got the ringers down. And I will ask the board if anyone has a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda, please let it be known now. And then we'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda as it is with item number 14 removed.
I make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Oh, yes, and a motion to excuse Commissioner Morgan from this evening.
I'll make a motion to excuse Mr. Morgan.
Okay, second. All right, all in favor? All righty. Mr. Morgan is enjoying his day somewhere, I'm sure. All right, next up is public comment. We have several people to speak. Just want to be mindful you have your 3 minutes to speak, and normally the board does not respond. This is just your opportunity to address the board. So we'll start with Pauline Britton. And if you would, just come up to this podium where you can be heard. Is the mic on?
Can I request that my daughter speak in my place?
Sure, go right ahead.
Christine Britton. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to you, the community members and board who have gathered here in support of our message tonight. We are here because we believe in the proper due process, fairness, respect, and the protection of our rights. Recently, we witnessed what we feel is the gross misconduct of our police and zoning officer. The disturbing situation was caught on our security camera and is available for any board member to view. On October 29th, the police chief and zoning officer arrived at our neighbor's home and walked around his property for several minutes, inspecting his vehicles and garage without first making their presence known. After a lengthy time spent surveying, backup was called and 2 additional officers arrived, at which time Chief Silva announced his presence and entered our neighbor's home, weapon drawn, without a warrant. The homeowner was in the bathroom. They did converse with him briefly at that time. They claimed they were there for 2 different reasons. First, a zoning violation, then a wellness check, only after they entered the home without warrant. They then arrived to our home, audibly stating, "That guy is a creep," and using the word weirdo when initially asking us about him. We are disgusted and outraged as a community. The disrespectful presumptions made about this man are unfair, and we consider profiling. My God, when Silva said, "I can do whatever I want," when we said you cannot go into somebody's house without a warrant, that was said. Let's see. This kind of behavior is very triggering. It sends off mental alarms and forces us to question our safety in the community and the misuse of authority. We feel it poisons the trust between our community and law enforcement. The use of what can only be viewed as intimidation and profiling by these town officials towards one of our longtime neighborhood residents has affected the community as a whole. We are very upset. We respect the law and we expect our police to do the same. When a minor ordinance violation escalates to a level where a person's privacy is invaded without due process and a home is entered by police with weapons drawn, it becomes clear that there's an abuse of power taking place. This situation could have been catastrophic. Additionally, our zoning officer appears to be trespassing and using sneaky tactics to perform her duties, bypassing the constructive dialogue to address the community concerns. Zoning regulations are in place to maintain or improve our living conditions, not to give local authorities unchecked power over us and our private property. Her defense during our conversation, she is not qualified for her current position, and she clearly lacks the professionalism and diplomacy required. We are calling for the retraining or replacement of these individuals in their current position with those more qualified and experienced with knowledge of ordinances and procedures. In closing, we want accountability, transparency, and respect from our local authorities. We stand together on this day to ensure our voices are heard. We ask you, our elected officials, to stand with us to protect our rights and to ensure positive, constructive relationships with each and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Richard Wynn.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I will not be quite as elegant as Christine. I am the creep and weirdo who the police entered the house without a warrant. This situation is beyond doubt felonies. The Supreme Court ruled in May of 2021 that you cannot use the excuse of the community caretaking responsibilities, which welfare checks are, to bypass the need of a warrant to enter a home or the curtilage of a house. I'm asking the board to, along with us, approach the DA to either charge these 4 individuals who were on the property on that day with the felonies that they did commit, or present the evidence that we have. I just put in the required request today with the courts to obtain the police video. Present this to any sitting grand jury or to convene a grand jury to review all of these cases. These are felonies. And once they bypass and lose their qualified immunity, which the Supreme Court has clearly indicated that they have done, they are as criminal as any of the rest of us would be in taking these actions. This started with issues considering ordinance violations. I strongly urge you, the code enforcement person stated on video that she is not qualified to do this job. She stated, I am not experienced at this. I strongly urge you to review your own ordinances, because the multiple things that she has approached me on are almost exclusively not violations of the ordinances. Read the ordinances. To pick one, she said I had to cut the grass. The grass has to be 12 inches. Read your ordinance. She said that because the grass around my car had to be removed, the grass has to be 8 inches. Again, read the ordinance. In these cases, she again is not trained, and apparently neither are the police. So I'm moving that you move to approach the DA on this, and I'm moving that you disband the police force. This is my second interaction with illegal actions by the police force of Cape Carteret. I've sued Cape Carteret before over police actions, and it looks like that's where this is going again. Contract with the sheriff to do these duties. Every other community around us does that. And if saving money is an issue, Those communities do that because they're saving money. So I closely, again, I really advise you to look at the ordinances and see if people are, I agree that you have to enforce them equally on everybody. And so, secondly, I have multiple photos of properties that also have anything that I've been accused of. They have the same thing. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Next is Wayne Truex.
You woke me up. Anyway, appreciate the time here. Appreciate y'all's job that you have to do. Appreciate the town employees' work that they do every day. I'm here about two issues. One is the no wake zone, and second is the traffic situation on 24 in front of the Bayshore community. As far as the wake zone, it needs to be established. Again, I thought it was once before, but apparently it's not been codified. I don't know how you all are going to propose to enforce it, but 80% of the people that live up the creek from me comply with the no wake zone. But there's about 20% that go flying by, people in the water, and docks where people can no longer put their boats because of the people violating the no wake zone. I live on Lejeune. I have a canal behind me. I'm one house away from the waterway. And when a wake can get up to where my house is, there's definitely a problem. They have no respect for the property owners. They have no respect for their fellow boaters. And like I said, this is only about 20% of them. It's not that bad in the summer because it's so crowded. But in the fall, right now, fall fishing, they come out from up Schoolhouse Creek like a bat out of hell. And once again, like I said, with absolutely no respect and no boatmanship because you are responsible for your wake. Enough said about that. I'll leave it up to y'all how you're going to enforce it. Second thing is the traffic situation on 24. It has become more and more difficult for the residents of Bayshore Park. And I might mention, it's not just Bayshore part of, it's also Hunting Bay, which is part of BoC. It's getting almost impossible to get out of our neighborhood in the morning and in the afternoon with the traffic going like a bat out of hell to Moorhead and then in return coming back in the afternoon. I know for several years when my mother was alive, she would come and visit and I would warn her, please be careful trying to get out on 24. Now I have a 17-year-old grandson who lives with me who's just got his driver's license, and I have to tell him the same thing. It's treacherous. Old Cape Carteret around here has 2 traffic lights to get out of their neighborhood. We have none. We have none. So I would ask that you all ask the North Carolina Department of Transportation. What I understand is the one responsible for this. I know you have no way of enforcing or changing or putting a traffic light up or changing the speed zone because I understand that's a state maintained road. But I endorse anything that you can do to help us in our neighborhood. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Pamela, is it Love? Long, I'm sorry.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, a few moments to speak on behalf of the golf cart owners on Hunting Bay. I must admit we were all a bit surprised by the notification that as of January 1st, 2025, we were no longer going to be allowed to purchase a sticker and ride our golf carts anywhere except on Hunting Bay. I moved to Hunting Bay 4 years ago and had my golf cart inspected by a Cape Carteret police officer, and I had to spend $500 to bring it up to the required Cape Carteret standards, seat belts, turn signals, etc. Personally, I've only lived in Hunting Bay for 4 years, but I know of other golf cart owners who have lived and operated their carts for much longer than that. It is perplexing that suddenly a dead letter law, a désuétude, that has not been enforced in many years, has been resuscitated. And we just wonder why. We at Hunting Bay feel grandfathered in as it has always been accepted practice for so long. We pay the fee and cannot fathom why we would not, Cape Carteret would not appreciate that revenue of at least $2,000 a year. Our communities connect, even though we're two different towns, BoC and Cape Carteret, but we connect. It just seems a neighborly thing to do to continue as it always has been. And one of our common denominators that make us a community is, like this gentleman said, our fear of getting out on 24. If you had wanted perhaps a $10 surcharge for a non-Cape Carter resident, that would have been a much softer approach than just to deny us the ability to buy a sticker. I love living in Hunting Bay and Cape Carteret. I feel like it's a very safe and neighborly place to be. I'd hate that even though we're two different towns, that our sense of one community would be lost over something that seems as trivial as a golf cart. I appreciate your time. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next is Ken and Karen Geyer.
Good afternoon. I didn't come here to make a speech, but I agree with everything that woman just had to say. Hunting Bay is my neighborhood. It's where I live. My grandkids come there every year to visit me. They can't wait to get there. They're from New Jersey. They love it there just as much as I love it there. It's my neighborhood. It's where I live. Now, to tell me that I can only drive a golf cart on one street that I went out and bought, upgraded to Carteret standards, is actually an insult to me. I can't understand it at all. It doesn't even seem reasonable. You know, if it's a money issue, let's take care of that. But don't penalize me, few other people, my loved ones that come vacation with me. You know, the people in the neighborhood know my grandsons. They know my grandkids. We're all friends. It's, you know, we look out for each other. We're a neighborhood. When I first moved down there, I had no idea there was a boundary. I started renting my house. And then they asked me if I wanted to buy it. And I said, yeah, this is where I want to be. I don't want to be secluded from the rest of the neighborhood. This is my neighbors. This is my neighborhood. I have friends on every street. And you know, we ride around, we have fun, you know, and I don't want that taken away. I really wish you would reconsider. And if it's a money issue, okay, let's take care of that. Let's fix that. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, sir. And next is Shane Owens.
Good afternoon. Ironically enough, these people have my same complaints. I do not live where they live. I live across from the library on Taylor Nation Road. The only place that I can go with my golf cart is to their neighborhood or to the golf course. Anyone on that side of Taylor Nation Road, that side of Highway 24, has no access to this side, all these shops, all these businesses, and the town center that we're about to start, hopefully. I would like to have us be able to open this gate that's beside the library that leads to Enterprise Avenue. It's a straight shot from the library to all these shops, all these businesses that we don't have access to if we live on that side of Taylor Nation Road. We're cut completely off of this side of town. I'm with a golf cart. Obviously, we can walk. Who wants to do that? But everyone that has a golf cart, I pay for the town's sticker for my golf cart. I should have access to more than the golf course. That's a whole different payment to those guys. We can't get on the walking trail because it's a walking trail. We just have no access. But I can go see these people if I wanted to. I can go from my house through my neighborhood through Star Hill and pop out and see all of them if I want to, but that's as far as I can go to the boat ramp. And people over on the golf course side, Star Hill side, would love to be able to visit these businesses on our golf carts, especially in the summertime when all the lunatics come into town. And they kind of jam up all the traffic out here. If we could zip down through by the library, come out behind Lowe's, frequent all these businesses, it would be greatly appreciated. That's it.
Thank you, sir. That's all we had for public comment. Next up is the consent agenda.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Okay, second. All in favor? Thank you. All right, next is the proposed rezoning of the triangle area parcels from B10, B20, R20, and R30 to town center. And we have a public hearing on this as well. You want to just give a synopsis and we'll
Sure.
get the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. Commissioners, as you know, we've had several discussions and most recently in September, board action to create the town center zoning district in the area generally bounded by 2458 and Taylor Notion Road. You took action in September to actually create the zoning district to establish the development regulations that would apply within that zoning district. As you know, it is something that was specified in the CAMA and Comprehensive Land Use Plan adopted in 2022. Those regulations hopefully will facilitate the development of a new town center in this area in the center of Cape Carteret. As you know, it's envisioned as a mixed-use, multifamily residential new development. It allows slightly higher densities than in other areas of Cape Carteret. It promotes a mixture of commercial and residential uses together. It promotes smaller village-style homes on smaller lots. And importantly, it facilitates a town center type environment, an area where hopefully the public will gather. People will be able to visit that area, shop, live in that area, and also create ultimately some better transportation connections with 24 and 58 and Taylor Notion Road. I won't get into the details of what's allowed in the new zoning district or what's not and what the regulations are. Happy to answer any questions that anyone may have about those things. The action for your consideration tonight is to actually move forward and rezone parcels to the new town center zoning district. So right now you have that zoning district and those development regulations established, but you don't have any properties actually zoned as town center. So presented for your consideration tonight is the rezoning of all of the properties within the darker line area, generally on Highway 24, the properties along 58 near Mac Daddy's, generally the properties behind Lowe's Foods, Lowe's Home Improvement, et cetera, all the way down to the Handy Mart. There are a total of 42 parcels that would be rezoned to the town center zoning district. We discussed the rezoning of these parcels with you at several meetings earlier this year. Most recently, we discussed it with the planning board at their meeting in September. They did vote unanimously to recommend the rezoning of these parcels to the new town center zoning district. We have scheduled a public hearing tonight, and following that public hearing, if you're so inclined, you can take action to rezone these parcels. You're not required to. You can take action if you'd like after that time. And we have also notified all of the affected property owners, all of the adjacent property owners, even those on the opposite side of 24 and Taylor Notion Road and 58 as well. We've included advertisements in the newspaper and all of the other legal requirements for you to take this action tonight potentially. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. These are the same parcels that we've discussed consistently over the last couple of years.
And we're required to have a public hearing on this, so entertain a motion to go into the public hearing. Okay, thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, we're now in the public hearing. We did have one person sign up, which was Daryl Buchanan. If you'd like to step up and have a speak, sir.
Good evening. I just wanted to stop by and give a shout out in support of the town center concept. Having lived in several cities that have developed town center areas, it's been a great asset for the community. And one of the things I feel like they would offer here would be better foot access, bicycle access to the shopping venues and stuff that we have. So I'm very much in support of that. It would be my hope that, and obviously, it would be a road coming into Taylor Ocean Road, that we would do something to reduce the speed limit on Taylor Ocean Road, because I think that would lend itself for terrible accident. Just wanted to speak out in favor of the town center concept. It would help us keep our taxes low because it would increase our tax revenue, and it would, like I say, give better access for foot access to shopping.
All right, thank you, Daryl. And I look at, I see we have two of our stakeholders in the town, Ms. Holtz and Deanna, and if y'all have anything you'd like to say. Okay, I didn't want to put you on the spot. I just want, give you opportunity.
Can I speak from here?
Yes, ma'am, if you'd like.
Give her a microphone?
Yeah, just hand her the mic. We're walking all day.
I just think it's a great way to pull Old Cape Carteret and the northern part of Cape Carteret together, so the communities can mesh a little bit more. The concept of some of the, that I've seen, I'd like to see some of the little boutique shops, which we don't have a lot of that around here. And I can't tell you guys how many times people come to me and say, do you have any retail space? All I need is about 600 square feet. And I have to tell them no, because I have 1,000 square foot, but they're all full. But there's a lot of small businesses that could utilize something like that. And the traffic, I just hope and pray that it helps alleviate some of that traffic from that stoplight at Taylor Ocean and 24. That is, I don't even go that way if I can help it, so I don't have to get in that traffic. But good luck, y'all got a lot of work.
Thank you. All right, with that said, I will entertain a motion to come out of the public hearing and back into regular session. Thank you, John. All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. We are now back in regular session. Any questions or concerns for Frank on the issue?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance rezoning the triangle area parcels to the town center zoning district.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, John beat you to it.
Oh.
All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Next, discussion of potential expansion of the no-wake zone along the BoC Sound shoreline.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. Commissioners, this is an item that Commissioner Martin had requested, allotting some time on a future agenda, which is now tonight, for the board to discuss the possible expansion of the no-wake zone in Cape Carteret. The graphic on your screen shows the areas that have been officially designated as no-wake zones in Cape Carteret by the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners took that action in the past based on authorizing legislation from 1997. That legislation essentially says that there's established a no-wake zone along the entire shoreline of Cape Carteret on BoC Sound and Deer Creek in the area east of the Emerald Isle Bridge. So essentially the whole shoreline on BoC Sound, all of Deer Creek. The Cape Carteret Board of Commissioners in the past only limited that no-wake zone to the areas that you see on the screen in yellow. The orange dots that you see are the locations of our 5 existing no-wake zone buoys. And thanks to Public Works and a local contractor, we've got all 5 of those in place now. We had lost some in previous storms. The discussion for the board tonight is whether or not you would like to expand that no wake zone to the other areas of our shoreline that are authorized in that session law from 1997. It's a real small area just directly east of the Emerald Isle Bridge in this area. It's the area basically fronting on the Soundfront portion of Neptune Drive down in this area. And then interestingly, there's a small section east of Easy Street that is in the town limits that's not delineated as a no wake zone. So I think you have the discretion and the authority to expand that no wake zone if you would like. And I'm happy to help you with that discussion and answer any questions you may have.
Just to educate this new board, I attempted with the previous board to get this done, and they didn't agree with me. I've never understood why most of our waterfront is no wake, and the little strip down there has not been, even though the General Assembly allowed us 30 years ago, I guess, that we could have made it no wake. I've always been one that wanted to protect our waterfront properties from erosion. And I'm glad Frank pointed out the little area up there at Easy Street. If you ever go down Easy Street, I think Ms. Holtz will agree with me. There used to be a lot more land there at one time, but due to a lot of it from boat prop wash and boats flying up and down through there creates erosion. Some of my former colleagues would want to argue with me about that, but I've been around a long time. I know what boat wakes can do. Not only that, there, as Wayne Truex alluded to, the speed in that area is dangerous for the kids that are swimming in the BoC Sound Park area, which that's a different issue. We know we can't enforce that. So I'm asking my colleagues tonight to make our entire waterfront a no wake zone, knowing that we at this time cannot enforce it. But as Wayne said, it's only that 10 or 20% that don't abide the law anyway, no matter what you do. Even if you had someone out there in a boat giving tickets out, they're still going to do it. And for those people that live up in the creeks, your neighborhood and whatnot, shame on them if they adhere to the no wake in their own waterfront and come down here and want to erode somebody else's property. That's how we got to where we are tonight. I've asked Frank to put it on the agenda tonight in hopes that this board will determine that our waterfronts need protection and to just make that area a no wake zone, and to install some buoys to that effect.
Well, I'm definitely for expanding the no wake zone. We are growing and we're seeing a lot more traffic, and we've improved our parks at the end of our roads around here, and we've built kayak storage racks. So we got more kayakers and paddle boarders and swimmers. And I tried to find a con to not have, and the only con I could find was you might have to slow down and enjoy our BoC Sound shoreline. So that's
Well,
so I'm for it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But I think the argument was with the last board was about recreation, that they like, they had area for the kids to ski and stuff. But as somebody who uses that boat ramp almost weekly, it's more congestion coming in. It's literally an off ramp as soon as they come to that bridge. And, like myself, as soon as I come to that bridge, I power down, but there's a lot of them that don't, and they're just high assing all the way through past, like Wayne says, all up in there. It's just, they just don't care. Naturally, it'd be hard to enforce, but I think to me, it just offers more consistency if we start just have the whole shoreline, have it all the same, no way.
Well, recreational uses have changed over the years.
Right.
A lot of skiing back years ago, I remember. Hardly ever do you see skiing anymore. Now it's kayakers.
There's more than one place to do it. I think because we are seeing more traffic, that just makes sense to just make it consistent. That's just my opinion.
I would love to see it put in. I've been here 35 years, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm sure Paxton will bail me out. When we used to come down and visit my daddy, we used to start at 24, and we used to run all the way down Schoolhouse Creek to Paxton's house, full throttle, full of my kids. And the only complaints I got were from the neighbors to take their kids next weekend, which I was fine with. But as I got older, bought a bigger boat, and realized the construction we were doing, we stopped. Problem is you do have quite a lot of people that aren't from around here, and they feel that they're above the law, and they've got their $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 boats with the triple, quadruple motors. I get it. Slow down. It affects everybody on the creek. Everybody.
Well, we went to great strides we did the dredging project out there to enhance boating and fishing, and we've installed bulkheads in the town parks property. So I think this is probably one of the last steps that we need to do so.
And if you see somebody rolling down the creek that as a citizen, it's not a bad thing to say, hey man, you're in the no wake zone. It's important to me.
I will say that, I was opposed to this when Commissioner Martin, when you first brought it up, but after kind of, reading about it, and I think I sort of took the same approach you did, just trying to understand, what are the pros, what are the cons, like where really should we be? And, I boat through there often, and, you're right. I think we do see a lot more kayakers, and we've created an environment where we're trying to, to sort of foster that. And so I think what I'm saying is I was opposed to this at first, but I did, after reading about this, and I will say that this House Bill 851 was kind of surprising to me. I did not know that was the case. So, and like you said, that was about 27, 30 years ago. So I think that times are changing. I think it's time to maybe slow traffic down through there, and it is getting more congested. I definitely believe that, just in the small amount of time that I've been here. So I was opposed to it at first, but after really reading this through and everything, I think I do support this. So that's my take on it.
Any more discussion?
You just asking for consensus.
I mean, if there's consensus, I think we can, well, actually, I think I'd like to have a motion from the board on this, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion to establish that area as a no-wake zone and to place the appropriate no-wake buoys in that area.
Incorporating Easy Street and also.
The entire town shoreline.
Entire town.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it is, so, okay.
All right, have a second. John? Okay, all in favor?
We're getting faster.
All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Unless you all have different ideas, I think my intention is to add 3 no-wake zone buoys in the 3 areas that we talked about at some point here in the next few months or so.
All right, next up is the discussion of potential NCDOT requests, speed limit adjustments, traffic, and safety concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, over the last several months have just received several concerns, both from Cape Carteret residents as well as our police chief, about different traffic safety issues in Cape Carteret. I scheduled some time on the agenda tonight for you all to discuss 3 of them that we've heard more frequently than others. Certainly, if there are other areas in the town that you'd like to discuss, we can certainly discuss those tonight or at your convenience in the future. These 3 areas that I'm going to discuss with you briefly here in a moment, they are all on NCDOT maintained highways. They're on 24 and Taylor Notion Road. So ultimately, any changes, whether they be speed limit adjustments or whether they be infrastructure improvements, would need to be approved by the NCDOT. They will, however, consider any requests from the town of Cape Carteret and certainly would consider your wishes for any improvements in the town, but ultimately the final decision rests with NCDOT. My purpose in scheduling these for discussion tonight is to get a sense of how you all as a group feel about these three issues. If you tell me that you'd like us to pursue them, I will make a formal request to NCDOT to evaluate these three areas, or two or one, or whichever one you may select. I would expect then they will do some more detailed analysis on crash statistics, citations, maybe speeding violations, et cetera, and report back to us what their judgment is on these areas. So at this point, I really just want to get a sense for what you all think you want them to look into going forward. So the first one is on your screen tonight. It's consideration of reducing the speed limit in the blue area on Highway 24 from 45 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour. The area in red basically goes from the 2458 intersection back to about where the Aquatic Center is. That is a 35 mile per hour zone in Cape Carteret. Everything in blue that you see here from that point back to basically the restaurant area is a 45 mile per hour zone. We do have a school zone in effect in the vicinity of White Oak Elementary School, and during the drop off and pickup times, that's a 25 mile per hour zone in the vicinity of White Oak Elementary School. Police Chief Silva has talked with me several times in recent months about the fact that people are coming upon the White Oak Elementary School and they're coming out of this 45 mile per hour zone and they're still going pretty fast by the time they hit the 35 mile per hour zone. And so his initial request was, could we look at pushing the 35 mile an hour zone back maybe to the Taylor Notion Road intersection, just so that people hopefully will get more accustomed to that, slow down a little quicker before the congestion that often occurs at White Oak Elementary School. When we looked at the map and realized that only left this small section from Taylor Notion Road down to Bayshore, if this is something that you're interested in, you may want to just make it 35 miles an hour on 24 through the entire town limits. So that's one area for you to consider. The second issue is, you heard some references to it earlier, the intersection at Bayshore and Fox and NC 24. I'm sure, as you all know, it's a difficult area specifically to make a left turn out of from either side of the intersection. Chief Silva and I have also talked about this intersection. He's concerned about traffic safety issues there. I'm sure everyone in this room is concerned about that, and I'm sure this is not the first time this issue's come up. One of the things that we talked about was maybe requesting a traffic signal at that location. I was initially worried that NCDOT may say that it's too close to the Taylor Notion Road intersection, but actually there's a greater distance between Taylor Notion Road and this intersection than there is between the two traffic lights we have in Old Cape Carteret now. So I think it would be a reasonable thought to consider a traffic signal at that location. Other ideas you may want to consider include some sort of median in there that restricts turning movements. That may come with a whole different set of concerns from people in the community, sometimes makes it a little more inconvenient. Some of you who were on the board probably recall this, others may have just been paying attention. DOT at one point in time was looking at putting in medians through the entire length of Cape Carteret and kind of creating very limited turning movements at several intersections and those large bulb turnaround areas. I think those make very good sense in suburban commercial areas, maybe in rural areas, but in my opinion would not work well in Cape Carteret. So they may respond with something along those lines. My position to DOT all along has been, this is the middle of our town. This is our main street essentially. Don't think it makes sense here in the community. I know the previous board went on record opposing that. So at this location, you might want to consider a traffic signal. And if there are other ideas, I'm certainly willing to pursue those with NCDOT. The third area came initially from a citizen request, and then it was also mentioned to me by Representative Celeste Carnes a few months ago, I think responding to the same citizen request. I think that person reached out to her as well. That entire length of Taylor Notion Road in blue is a 45 mile per hour zone. The request was to consider reducing the speed limit on Taylor Notion Road to 35 miles per hour. So before I went any further with any of these issues. I wanted to give you all a chance to discuss them, get a sense of what your thoughts are on this, whether it's a concern, whether it's a high priority, whether there are other higher priorities we should be focused on. So with that, I'll stop and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, it's been a concern as long as I've lived here for the Fox Drive, Bayshore Drive intersection. There's been multiple deaths occurred there. Until you put this on the agenda, I had assumed that DOT had been asked that they install a signal there. I think maybe from the previous town manager, but if it hasn't been done, I'm 100% for a traffic signal. As Mr. Truax alluded to, coming out of Bayshore, you have to go down to BoC Sound Drive if you even get a chance of getting out. And then depending on the day, time of day, what day it is, you may sit there for quite a while. But coming out Bayshore Drive with traffic coming out of Fox and then both ways on 24 is almost impossible certain times of day.
Yeah, I agree with that. I use Fox, and it can get kind of gnarly, and sometimes you just have to press the I believe button. And
yeah, you're turning left most of the time.
Yeah.
And we were approached by DOT to make 24 Super Street, where if you came out of Bayshore, you have to go about a mile up and then turn around to come back and go to Lowe's, U-turn. And we didn't want that, so we told them we didn't want it. If we did give consensus for you to approach DOT, what's the timetable on DOT? They got different levels of addressing these.
Yeah, so the truthful answer is I don't know what the official timetable might be with DOT. Obviously, they've got a lot of projects in the works and a lot of things going on, but I would expect we would hear something in a reasonable time frame. Essentially, if you all tell me to, I'll make the request to them. I'll let them know that we're interested in a traffic signal at this location, ask them to perform the appropriate analysis, see if a traffic signal is warranted at that location, and get a sense of the time frame from them at that point. That's just the initial step. They've then, let's say that they come back and say, yeah, we think this is a good idea for this location. They've got to secure the funding for this. That's going to take a little more time. Something like this is probably a small enough number that it wouldn't have to go through the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan process. There's probably some discretionary money that could be had. But I think realistically, it's nothing that I think you'd see within a year, at least 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, if they support it. I'm not sure what previous requests the town may or may not have made, but it's clear that there are a lot more people in our area since COVID. You all have seen that for sure. And so different times, different circumstances, different individuals involved with DOT. So I think if you do want to pursue this, I think it's worth making that request.
Well, I'm going to say one more thing, then I'll shut up. I'm in agreement with all of it. Lower the speed limit on Taylor and Ocean 35 and extend the 35-mile-an-hour zone to the end of town on 24, and along with the traffic signal.
I think seeing how Ms. Carnes has already had a complaint, get her involved, because that's how we got the turn signal down there, and it took us a year because the state said we weren't worthy. But she pushed the issue for us, and we got the turn signal. I think that was about a year and a half before we got them done. So with her involved, I think we can get some expedience out of it, perhaps.
Yeah, and I want to agree with that too. Having to turn right into the school, if you get stopped right at the graphic's gone. If you get stopped right at that transition between 45 and then when school's letting out 25, you could easily get rear-ended. And so I think that's my reasoning for that is the 45 to 25 during school being let out or going in, that's a tough transition. So I'm in favor of that. And Taylor and Ocean, like me and my family, we cross that road to get to the trail. I just definitely think it makes it easier to get across and enjoy that trail that we're, finishing. So I think that's a good idea. So yes, all of those things. I'm in favor.
So I'm in agreement with everybody on the board here, but I have had multiple requests, and this might be something simple we can fix about the traffic light timing to turn left, especially at McDonald's. They're like, there's a lot of congestion now since Starbucks is there. So when you're turning left, only 1 or 2 cars might be able to get out. because you're waiting. I don't know if that's something an easy fix or how that.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly can make that request to DOT. What they'll do is they'll evaluate it. Sometimes they adjust those signal timing lengths based on the season and the traffic there, but absolutely we can pursue that if that's something you're interested in. So.
Last 3 months, I've gotten several people, multiple people now. So.
Okay. So you need a motion for that or just a consensus?
I think on something like this, I think consensus is fine. I don't hear anybody objecting to any of these issues. And if you do, please let me know that. So. Okay. I will put forth those 4 requests to DOT in the very near future and keep you apprised as it moves along and try to get you a better sense of the timetable for decision from them as well.
All righty, next up is the NC 58 multi-use path resolution on product change order for 2 wooden boardwalk segments.
Mayor Baker, Commissioners, the request for your consideration tonight is to authorize a change order with Coastline Contracting. They are the contractor that's currently constructing the 6/10 of a mile multi-use path on Highway 58. That contract was awarded by the board back in July, excuse me. As you've probably seen, they're making good progress. I expect they might be paving here in the next couple of weeks or so and get close to being done with that. As I shared with you at that time, that contract specifically did not include 2 ditch crossings. There are a couple of ditches just north of Mac Daddy's, just south of VFW Road, that we have to cross. Each one of them is about 15, 16 feet wide. I purposely did not include those wooden boardwalk crossings in the construction contract because I was still working with DOT to come up with the most cost-effective design and hopefully get the best possible savings for the town going forward. The request for you to consider tonight is a change order for $31,500. That's for 2 walkways that will be essentially identical to the one on the screen in front of you. Each one is 16 feet long. They're 10 feet wide. That picture is actually taken from a walkway that's located just a little, about in front of the electric substation on Taylor Notion Road. So be identical to that. You do have 2 companion items for consideration, really just to move money from the stormwater improvements capital project ordinance to the Cape Carteret Trail capital project ordinance. A total of $32,000 would be moved. As I mentioned in the past and in my written comments from the manager, we're getting very close to wrapping up all of the 12 stormwater locations the board previously identified. I expect we will have around $100,000 left over once we complete the last 2 locations. The recommendation for your consideration tonight is to move $32,000 from that stormwater account to the Cape Carteret Trail account. When everything is said and done, I expect we'll have around $70,000 left in the stormwater account that the board can then reallocate for whatever priorities you identify in the future going forward. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
So we'll need 3 separate motions, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
I mean, it's my understanding that you're still in discussions with DOT about 1 remaining location.
With 2 remaining locations. So these 2 would be on the Highway 58 section that they're getting close to finishing now. On the Taylor Notion Road segment, there are 2 other longer segments. One is 70 feet long and one is 50 feet long. And I've been working with DOT to hopefully eliminate the need for those. And to put it in perspective for you, each one of these walkways costs about $1,000 per linear foot. And if I can hopefully secure approval from DOT for the other locations, we can knock that cost down to about $100 a linear foot. So still working on those. I've actually got a meeting with DOT later this week to talk about that. For these locations on Highway 58, where those existing ditches are, we really don't have any other option, essentially. I initially approached DOT about simply putting in a pipe culvert in that area, and they were not comfortable doing that. So I'm afraid we don't have any other option on Highway 58.
So potentially you'll be coming back to us if you don't succeed with DOT and asking for 2 more?
Yeah, potentially. So on the Taylor Notion Road segment, we're either going to have to build, worst case scenario, we'll have to build 120 linear feet of these same walkways in that area. There are a couple of pipes that run underneath of Taylor Notion Road, and honestly, you probably don't even know they're there. You can't even see them. One of them's not really functioning. It's all plugged up with silt and dirt. If they require us to put these wooden boardwalks in, it's probably a cost of around $120,000. If I can hopefully secure approval to just route the path slightly away from the pipe, just a few feet really, it'll probably take that cost down to about $12,000 plus or minus. So there's serious implications for it. And hopefully we'll be successful. And then, of course, the other alternative is if I'm not successful, you may decide we just can't afford that, and we'll have to wait for that last 120 linear feet or identify some other funding for that. But hopefully
that's what where I'm getting to, coming to. If, for me, if we potentially have to do the other two, $120,000 worth, I'm in favor of waiting on these 2 because we don't have the $120,000 to throw potentially on the other ones. If what I'm saying, if we have, I would be in favor of waiting until you get where the DOT says yay or nay. And if they say no, then you come to the board and tell us what all 4 of them are going to cost. And at that time, I would be in favor of applying for a grant or some other way of coming up with the money.
Well, there could be it could cost more because this contractor is the current one that's doing that segment, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So they would have to remobilize.
Well, then you could put all 4 of them out for bid, maybe cheaper.
Yeah.
I say it would be worth, he's still going to be mobilized by the next time we have a meeting, right? Or by the time you have,
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts that might help you. We certainly can delay if you'd like. I really think they're going to be paving in this area, probably maybe as early as later this week, but I think sometime next week is probably the best guess. It would be advantageous if they can butt right up against the wooden boardwalks. On these particular boardwalks, I would recommend to you that you move forward and build them now, only because there really is no other option. And because that they're 2 small segments, at least if you put these in, you can open up that whole segment along Highway 58, and people could go all the way from up at the intersection of Taylor Notion Road all the way down to Mac Daddy's and loop around. I say that only because I don't think there's any other choice on these locations, where I think there are some other options on Taylor Notion Road.
you just said that he was going to butt the pavement up to the boardwalks.
Ideally, yes.
But you said he was going to pave next week. So but he hasn't built the boardwalks because we ain't given him permission. So when will the boardwalks be built?
Yeah, I hope they'll be built real soon. I basically told them not to do anything until I come to the board tonight for it. So the timing might be an issue. It might delay his paving slightly, depending on how everything works out. I mean, if you're not comfortable moving forward, we certainly can take that approach. I mean, that's perfectly fine. It's just I don't think you're ever going to have a better scenario for those 2 locations on Highway 58, whereas you got a decent chance over on Taylor Notion Road, I think.
Well, my goal all along is to finish this trail. It's been a debacle from day one.
Yeah.
I'm for completing the segment that we got.
Yeah.
We have to wait on the other, and we'll wait, but let's go ahead and just finish this.
If he comes back to us for wanting $120,000, we're going to have no alternative but wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Pardon the pun.
That's fine.
The one thing I want you, if you look at this picture here, you see this pipe sticking out. So Taylor Notion Road is back over here off to the right. This pipe goes underneath the Taylor Notion Road. It literally ends right here. And so DOT required the town to put this boardwalk in. And that's the same thing they're making us do at 2 other locations a little bit further north. And what I'm hoping we can do is just kick the path over maybe like 5 or 6 feet, still stay on the right of way, and do it a lot cheaper and quite frankly, an easier product to maintain and a better product overall. But we'll see. I'm trying. I've had several conversations. I'm meeting him out there on Thursday. So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I just don't think he can build the boardwalks, and you saying he wants to join the asphalt.
In a perfect world, yeah, in a perfect world, the
in 2
wooden,
weeks.
it's a tall order, don't get me wrong. So I agree with you on that
And
concern.
All I was asking for was enough time for you to get the word back to DOT on the other, on Taylor Notion. That's all I'm saying. We can combine the projects. But that's fine, whatever the board.
We can certainly delay, but obviously if we wait till the next board meeting, then that contractor is going to have other projects going on and other subcontractors and other commitments. They may not be able to start the very next day after that, but we can. I mean, it's nothing we can't overcome. I just think mostly because on Highway 58, you really don't have any other choice. Like I've pursued every possible alternative and they're locked into this solution. So the other thing, I guess, just to caution you about, if in fact we are short that $120,000 on the last 2 boardwalk segments, we can absolutely apply for grants for that. It's probably going to be more difficult to get grants for just those small segments here than something a little bit longer, just to kind of give you that heads up, because we were awarded a grant for this same section through here probably a year and a half ago.
Just want to keep reminding you that, we had a resolution that the citizens voted on, and so far we haven't spent a dime of taxpayer money on that trail.
Correct.
And just so to clarify, this $30,000 you asked for is coming out of what we labeled as a stormwater fund 2 years ago. Which was COVID money from Joe Biden.
That's right.
Washington, D.C. So
yeah, it's ultimately
take pride
federal funds.
in fact, when the trail's built that our taxpayers, it didn't come out of our coffers here in town. So I guess I'm okay with it. I just don't see the reason behind it, but why you can't wait a couple of weeks, but.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing a change order for 2 wooden boardwalk segments on NC 58 to use path.
Okay,
I'll second that.
second. All right, all in favor? All right, now the companion ones. Want to do those while you're
Motion to adopt a capital project ordinance amendment, Cape Carteret Trail.
Oh, sure.
We're doing 'em all.
I'll make a motion to adopt a capital project ordinance amending the stormwater improvement.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? One more.
Yeah.
Oh, did I do the wrong one?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh. Why didn't you do them in order?
We had to do 3. Motion to adopt the capital project ordinance amendment, stormwater improvements.
Sorry about
Second.
that.
You gotta second that.
You want a second?
I second that one.
All right, all in favor? All right,
You're
thank
supposed to be the chief.
All right, next up is the appointments of the planning board. We have 2 vacancies. And I believe the gentleman, board has a sheet. Everybody has you got your sheet put on? And I'll just sit here.
We just mark them up and pass them in like we've done before.
And pick two off the list. I must say I'm very happy we've got the amount of candidates and interest we do have in the planning board. That is something that, as far as citizens go, I appreciate, because you're giving some of the most valuable thing you have, which is your time to the town.
Board members, if you could sign and then also print your name underneath, because some signatures are very, very difficult to read.
Here, John.
Everybody? Okay. Brett?
Two that were picked by the board of commissioners is Michael Edney and Meredith Shirley.
Correct.
Petrelli. All righty, I guess staff will let them know.
Now, since Michael Denmead is on the Board of Adjusters, he'll be taken off.
Yes, and we'll look to replace him the next meeting.
So a couple of questions for your feedback. Number one, would you like us to advertise for new applicants for the Board of Adjustment seat for Mr. Denmead's that he's vacating? Or do you want to consider some of the existing applicants that we had for the planning board?
We need to give every citizen the opportunity to apply.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and advertise for interested applicants for the Board of Adjustment to replace Mr. Denmead. And then second, I know there's been some conversation and interest in alternate planning board members. Under law, you can do that. We just have to go through the process to amend the UDO and create those two vacancies. So I see you shaking your heads. If you want to do that, we'll put that on the planning board's agenda and then bring it back to the Board of Commissioners. Great.
All right, next up is the town manager report.
Several things in writing, just a couple of things real quick. One, I think as of today, this afternoon, we were at 103 boat ramp passes issued so far. So at this point, we're issuing them only to Cape Carteret residents and property owners. We'll start with people outside of Cape Carteret on December the 2nd. If you're a Cape Carteret resident or property owner and you want to secure a boat ramp pass, I'd encourage you to do that in the next couple of weeks, just to be assured, because once we hit the 300 number, we will stop selling them. So there's an early bird shot for Cape Carteret residents and property owners. The auditors are nearing completion of the audit report. I expect to present that to you at the December 9th meeting. Just reviewed a draft of that earlier today. Thankfully, no significant concerns, and we're blessed to be in overall good financial condition. I'll let the auditors discuss that with you in December. I included some updates about some of the stormwater improvements. We recently completed some work on Live Oak Drive. I'm pleased to have that done. The two locations that we have left from the original 12 are Dolphin Street and also Loma Linda between Manatee and Bonita. We have awarded a contract for Dolphin Street for $20,000 to Sunland to install new catch basin and additional piping there that will resolve that concern. And then Public Works Director Ryan Hutchinson and I are working on some in-house solutions for the Loma Linda Drive area. Not as significant of a concern and more limited options there. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago in the previous discussion, once we complete these two locations, I expect we'll have about $100,000 left in that project fund. You all just appropriated $32,000 of that for the Cape Carteret Trail boardwalk. So I still think we'll finish everything up with around $70,000, and I'll come back to you at the appropriate time for that. So,
Frank, where do we stand with the pipe that goes from underneath Star Hill to Bedford Creek?
It's flowing much better now. We had Sunland come out during the storm that we had a couple months ago and did some more work. We identified some more of the obstructions. Flowing 100 times better than it was when you last saw it. We are still planning to install some riprap in the area near the catch basins there to try to deal with some of the pine needles, but thankfully it is working much better right now. So.
Is it flowing better on the Sutton Drive side?
Yeah, I think it's flowing better. I mean, the one thing I don't want to mislead anybody. I mean, when you have a really heavy downpour, you're going to have some periodic moments where the water backs up in the street, just overwhelms the pipes that you have there. But the good news is it drains very quickly, and that was the goal of the project. So back to the Bedford Creek pipe, when we were doing all that work, we actually found another catch basin in the middle of there too. So that was good too. But the work they did definitely improved things. A couple of other things, expecting the street resurfacing to start in the next couple of weeks. Anita Fort and Yopon, also expecting the Easy Street bulkhead work to begin sometime in the next couple of weeks as well as the Tailored Ocean Road multi-use path. So one last thing, Christmas is right around the corner. We've got a Christmas tree lighting event on Monday, December the 2nd at 7 p.m. We're going to be installing the new Christmas tree that you all authorized and we purchased recently. It'll go basically right out in front of the former police department building. The Girl Scouts are hosting a social, so anyone in the community who'd like to come by between 5:30 and 7 before the lights are turned on at 7, please do so. And then we will be bringing Santa Claus through the residential areas of Cape Carteret again 2 weeks later on the 16th and the 17th as well. So looking forward to those things, and can't believe I'm talking to you about Christmas. So,
I have a question about the location of that Christmas tree.
yes.
Is there a reason why we're putting it there, not out by our sign? Is there some technical or?
So there's no magical answer to that. We just thought we would try a different location and put it right in front of the town hall area and the police department area. It was also, quite frankly, an opportunity to put it somewhere where maybe it won't be as exposed to the wind that's out in that area. So it's a little more open. So that's the intent for this year. We certainly can look at moving it around in future years. So, I mean, we'll have some smaller decorations around town, and the Public Works will probably be starting to put some of that stuff out here in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, we're going to put it out front there. I'm happy to consider moving it in the future if you'd like to try somewhere else. So.
Have you guys looked at that? It'll be okay on asphalt?
Yeah, we take out two of the pavers that are there, and we've got a whole strip of grass, and we're putting some over on tops in there. Right in the ground.
Yeah.
Frank, when this section of Trail up 58 where it cuts across the triangle up there.
Yes.
Is it that section going to go all the way to Taylor Notion? So we'll be done with that.
Yeah, that's right. If you go out there and look at it now, they've got the rock base down all the way over to just about Taylor Notion Road right now. So that'll give you a sense of we still have some land available south of where the path is going to go for some future park improvements. Okay. So that'll give you a good sense. And I think we wound up with about 45 feet or so between the path and the southern property line in that area. And of course, it's about 200 feet, give or take, across there. So.
I have a question about the house burning.
Yes.
Are we going to do an asbestos check before we?
That's part of it, yeah. At this point, when I first brought that up to you last month, it seemed like it was a greater possibility. It seems like interest in that might be waning right now. So not sure if that's going to happen or not, but absolutely if it does, the asbestos would be a key concern. So.
I see we're hopefully working towards January for meeting with all the towns.
That's my intent, yeah, is to get beyond the holidays, get the new county commissioner a chance to be seated, get people back to normal. So work on that.
Courtney and Steve and I were at the polls on Tuesday. We were fortunate to have Asa Buck show up, and he would most definitely want to be invited, is what he told us.
Yeah, great. I mean, you all tell me if there's others I should invite, but my intention is to invite the full county commissioners, the county manager, the full governing boards from Emerald Isle, Cedar Point, Pelletier, and BoC, and of course you all, and then their top appointed staff to participate in this meeting.
We invited Asa because.
And certainly the sheriff as well.
We wanted to talk about bringing the magistrate back to Cape Carteret, Western.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's other people you'd like me to invite, please just let me know that. Happy to invite them.
Did we receive the grant from the Big Rock?
We have not officially been notified of anything yet, but we're very hopeful.
Any more questions for Frank? I'm sorry, are you done, Frank?
No, yeah, I'm done. And certainly happy to answer any other questions you might have.
If not, then we'll move on to commissioner reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, Ryan, I want to compliment you on the job you guys did over there on Park Street. Very professional looking. It's a shame you had to do it. That's part of our zoning permit. When we issue a zoning permit, and on that property a couple of years ago, I don't think they followed through, and the home builder built it up. You know the deal, but thank you for addressing that. It's very professional. And I wanted to remind the board that that our stormwater fund is dwindling fast. Another 30-some thousand taken out of it. As Frank said, we should have a balance of about 70,000. And talking to some of you, and I think we kind of would like to, before Frank finds some way to spend the rest of the money, we need to create a fund for trail enhancements. and put some of that money in there quickly before something else comes up. I think we wanted to build a reflection area, and if we come up short with the $10,000 that the gym gave in honor of Jack Butler, then maybe we can kick in a little bit for that to finish that up. Mr. Jack deserves that recognition. I would like to proceed with creating some type of fund at the next meeting to get a portion of that $70,000 allocated toward trail enhancements.
We can certainly
Before
consider
something
that.
else comes up.
It-
We have used the stormwater fund as a great thing to address the stormwater issues that benefited most of the public, the majority of the public in town. But the trail and the enhancements that some of us have in mind will, the rest of the public would like that, I think. So I think it's important to create that.
Is there a certain dollar amount that you have in mind?
As much as we can get. No, there's $70,000 left. I don't think it's unfair to ask for half of that right now to be putting in that fund.
Okay.
I think what I personally have in mind is going to would eat $35,000 up for that reflection area.
We can certainly include that on the next meeting agenda.
Yeah,
for
that's
you to
what I'm saying.
formally
We'd discuss that in public at the next meeting. It'll be a good discussion.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. You say every meeting, this is your town. I want to thank all police officers for all their hard work. You protect us. Thank you. To Ryan, can't thank you enough for the job you're doing. Makes our town look so much better. And my fellow commissioners, I want to wish you all happy Thanksgiving. Since we're all turkeys. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for the public comment. I know to come up here and speak, it takes a lot of courage to speak in front of everybody. But I'm kind of concerned that no one spoke about the issue on Holly Lane, what initially started it. And I think, we were trying to address the problem calmly and respectfully, and it somehow got blown out of proportion, arguing, confusion, and anger. And I feel like we need to focus on that goal. Can I take a breath? Route. I wish more people would come and speak about it. Have issues on that street. That's it.
Wanted to thank the town staff for the shuttle people pretty much all day. It was kind of a steady turnout. I thought it was consistent and steady and good. So great bands. Man, it was just great. It wasn't too hot. I was going to rain, but then it kind of went away. So that was great. Anyway, yes, thank you all.
Very well. Staff put in a lot of hard work on that. Their Saturday is for us. I never think of that. Staff, so thank you guys for being here. And again, we have problems, we have issues, but we don't know if they'll tell us. And then we try to address them appropriately. We're not going to agree on that issue. I will say everything's very open. I'm very happy with very blessed. Second, well. Everybody does have a quite a lot of these days lately. I'm very thankful to be here. Y'all have a great evening.